August 11th, 2020. What's up, guys? Had a nice weekend. Went down to Glenwood Springs and just hung out with my family. Had a good time, relaxing and just enjoying nature. Took a few hikes. Went and saw Doc Holliday's grave site, supposedly. Uh, they really didn't know if he was buried there, but there's a tomb there or a headstone in his honor. It was pretty cool, though. Anyway, just wanted to hit actually a pretty good mainstream article today on the benefits of going organic. It's very rare that you see a mainstream publication actually put real truth out there about the dangers of conventional agriculture, but this one did it. So let's take a look real quick. It's from The Guardian, and it says, you have pesticides in your body, but an organic diet can reduce them by 70%. And guys, it's actually better than 70%. That 70% is just specific to glyphosate, which of course there are many, many other pesticides. But let's take a look at the article. So it shows a new study shows that U.S. families consume cancer-linked glyphosate in their food. The good news? Going organic can rapidly reduce these levels. Never before have we sprayed so much of a chemical on our food, on our yards, on our children's playgrounds. So it's no surprise that Roundup, the world's most widely used weed killer, shows up in our bodies. What is perhaps surprising is how easy it is to get it out. A new peer-reviewed study, co-authored by one of us, studied pesticide levels in 4 American families for 6 days on a non-organic diet and then 6 days on a completely organic diet. So it's a small study, 4 families, and it's actually pretty short term, about 2 weeks, right? 1 week non-organic, 1 week organic. So what did they see? Switching to an organic diet decreased levels of Roundup's toxic main ingredient, glyphosate, by 70% in just 6 days. If my kids have this much of a change in their numbers, what would other families have? Asked Scott Hirsud of Minneapolis, Minnesota, a father of 3 who participated in the study. The answer to that question is increasingly clear. A big one. This study is part of a comprehensive scientific analysis showing that switching to an organic diet rapidly and dramatically reduces exposure to pesticides. And those of you that have done it like we have, you know this to be true. And you know that when you make exceptions, you feel it. It says that's good news, but it raises grave questions. Why do we have to be supermarket detectives searching for organic labels to ensure we're not eating food grown with glyphosate or hundreds of other toxic pesticides? Seriously, why is everything poisoned and you have to go searching for the clean food? Glyphosate was flagged as a potential carcinogen as far back as 1983 by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. Yet use of the chemical has grown exponentially since, with chemical giant Monsanto, purchased by Bayer in 2018, dominating the market. Numerous reports have covered the internal company documents showing how Monsanto's influence over the EPA succeeded in suppressing health concerns. And this happens in every industry. In fact, rather than restricting the use of glyphosate, the EPA has raised the legal threshold for residues on some foods up to 300-fold above levels deemed safe back in the 1990s. Oh, it's poisonous? Let's make it so you can use more. And unlike with other commonly used pesticides, the government has turned a blind eye for decades when it comes to monitoring glyphosate, failing to test for it on food and in our bodies. The agency's slipshod regulation has led to a dramatic increase in exposure. Research shows that the percentage of the U.S. population with detectable levels of glyphosate in their bodies increased from 12% in the mid-1970s to 70% by 2014. And I'm pretty sure just about everybody has it. The new study paints an even more concerning picture. Researchers found glyphosate in every participant, including children as young as 4. I would love to get those pesticides out of my body and my family's bodies, said Adrena Phoebes of Oakland, California, a participant and mother of 2. Parents have found sound reason to be concerned about their children's exposure to glyphosate and other pesticides. While food residues often fall within levels that regulators consider safe, even government scientists have made it clear that U.S. regulations have not kept pace with the latest science. For one, they ignore the compounding effects of our daily exposure to toxic soup of pesticides and other industrial chemicals. Nor do they reflect that we can have higher risks at different times in our lives and in different conditions. A developing fetus, for instance, is particularly vulnerable to toxic exposures, as are children and the immunocompromised. Instead, U.S. regulators set a 1 safe level for all of us. New research also shows that chemicals called endocrine disruptors, which there are so many, can increase risks of cancer, learning disabilities, birth defects, obesity, diabetes, and reproductive disorders, even at incredibly small levels. And this is a great example. It says, think the equivalent of one drop in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So tiny amounts cause all of these problems. Research has linked glyphosate to high rates of kidney disease in farming communities and to shortened pregnancy in a cohort of women in the Midwest. Animal studies and bioassays linked to endocrine disruption, DNA damage, decreased sperm function, disruption of the gut microbiome, and fatty liver disease. The pesticide industry's success in keeping a chemical with known toxicity on the market is emblematic of a fundamental system failure. The U.S. allows more than 70 pesticides that are banned in the European Union. And in just the last few years, the EPA has approved more than 100 new pesticide products containing ingredients deemed to be highly hazardous. Yet last year, it looked like glyphosate was going to be a success story of another kind, the kind where science actually wins. In the wake of the World Health Organization determination that glyphosate is a probable human carcinogen, thousands of farmers, pesticide applicators, and home gardeners filed lawsuits linking their cancer to Roundup. Now, the first 3 cases were settled in favor of the plaintiff, saddling Bayer with $2 billion in damages, which were later reduced by the judges. But then this summer, just recently, Bayer agreed to pay $10 billion to settle an additional 95,000 cases out of court. The company again evaded all responsibility. And under the terms of the settlement, Roundup will continue to be sold for use on yards, school grounds, public parks, and farms without any safety warning. Who are we? America. Pesticide companies' ability to keep profiting from products that poison us is particularly egregious given that we have a solution. Organic works. And not just for our health. Research shows that a shift away from pesticide-intensive agriculture leads to significant improvements for biodiversity and other environmental benchmarks, while also yielding enough to ensure a well-fed planet. And we've gone over this in my past videos. Major improvements with organic farming to biodiversity, to yields. It's way better. We can look to the European Union for some hope. This summer, the EU announced plans to halve use of pesticides by 2030 and transition at least 25% of agriculture to organic. But in the U.S., despite ever-growing demand for organic food, the government continues to favor the profits of the pesticide industry over our health. No kidding. Spending billions of our tax dollars to prop up pesticide-intensive farming while organic programs and research are woefully underfunded. As this study shows, the end result in toxic chemicals in our bodies that don't need to be there. A growing number of people are responding by buying organic, and you should too. But what about the many who don't have access to organic or can't afford it? As long as we treat organic food as if it's a shopping preference instead of a public good, we will miss the opportunity to fight for a desperately needed shift in how we farm, one that would ensure that no one is exposed to toxic pesticides from the food they eat. Thank you, Kendrick Line. Great article. So, what did this study actually show? If we go over to Friends of the Earth and look at the published study, it says organic works. And it says, in these peer-reviewed studies, we compared pesticide levels in the bodies of 4 American families for 6 days on a non-organic diet and then 6 days on a completely organic diet. And we found that eating organic works. And so, of course, they did find that the glyphosate levels dropped 70% after just 6 days of eating organic, which is huge. You're reducing your toxic load. You're going to give your body, instead of spending so much energy on eliminating toxins and overworking your organs like your kidney and pancreas and your liver and causing so much damage and endocrine disruption in your body, you're eliminating this poison out of your system, and your body actually is able to digest the food and utilize the nutrition of the food. And you're going to be reducing all kinds of problems, like it said, diabetes and fatty liver and obesity and all kinds of issues from pesticide toxicity. So great drop in glyphosate, but if you look at the different areas of the state, each family group had different levels. These were the top 4 pesticides in each family. So they all had different exposures based on their geographic area. So in Atlanta, Georgia, you can see glyphosate dropped dramatically in this family. MDA, clothianidin, and OPS all had very high exposures, dropped like crazy. In Baltimore, the CDCCA, clothianidin, TDCCA, and OPS all drop dramatically in their bodies. If you go on day after day after day, just eating the same conventional garbage, that toxic load stays up here. And all you have to do is change what you buy, and you drop that toxic load down, and your health just starts to improve. Your body actually has time to heal. It's amazing. So you can see this MDA drops almost to nothing in this family in Minneapolis. And what do these all stand for? So you got the OPS is organophosphate metabolites, like DMP, DMTP, DMDTP. The MDA is malathion. The FPBA, 3PBA, CDCCA, and the TDCCA are pyrethroid metabolites. So all different types of pesticides. All detected pesticides dropped in each family. These charts show the top 4 decreases per family. These are glyphosate, pyrethroids, and neonicotinoids, neonicotinoids, which these are the ones that basically have destroyed our pollinators and got rid of the bees and are actually affecting all life on the planet. All of them are. And organophosphates and so on. Pesticide levels before and after switching to an organic diet. Again, just these huge reductions in each class of pesticide. And again, these are all one giant soup of poison in our guts, just causing all kinds of problems. So it says we found 16 pesticides and the chemicals that the pesticides break down into the body called metabolites in every study participant. Together, these represent potential exposures to 40 different pesticides, including glyphosate, organophosphates, pyrethroids, and neonicotinoids, clothianidin, and phenoxyherbicide, as well as 2,4-D. And if you remember my 2,4-D video, I think I called it Agent Orange Soy. That is one of the main ingredients of Agent Orange. The most significant drop occurred in a class of neurotoxic pesticides called organophosphates. The metabolite for malathion, or MDA, and chlorpyrifos, TCPY, decreased by 95 and 61% respectively in just 6 days of organic. And a set of 6 metabolites representing organophosphates and a class of DAPs dropped 70%. These pesticides are so harmful to children's developing brains that scientists have called for a full ban. Chlorpyrifos is a neurotoxic pesticide linked to an increased rate of autism, learning disabilities, and reduced IQ in children, and is also one of the pesticides most often linked to farm worker poisoning. And we talked about this when California banned it. The neonicotinoid pesticide clothianidin dropped by 83% in just 6 days. Those were among the most commonly detected pesticide residues in baby food. That's horrible. They're associated with endocrine disruption and changes in behavior and attention, including an association with autism spectrum disorder. Neonicotinoids are also a main driver of massive pollinator and insect losses, leading scientists to warn of second Silent Spring. If you remember Rachel Carson and Silent Spring, if not, go look it up. Levels of pyrethroids were halved. Exposure to this class of pesticide is associated with endocrine disruption, sounds like they all are, adverse neurodevelopmental and immunological and reproductive effects, increased risk of Parkinson's, and sperm DNA damage. Glyphosate dropped by 71%, and its main metabolite, AMPA, dropped by 76%. Glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup, the most widely used pesticide in the world. Glyphosate is a probable human carcinogen. It's been linked to high rates of kidney disease in farming communities and to shortened pregnancy in a cohort of women in the Midwest. We just went over this. Tons of damage. Stephanie Seneff does great work looking at the damage that glyphosate does. And so does Zach Bush. It's unreal. It destroys not just our microbiome, but the biome of the world. We've got to get rid of it and stop using it. And again, 2,4-D dropped by about 37%. 2,4-D is one of the 2 ingredients in Agent Orange. It's among the top 5 most commonly used pesticides in the U.S. and is associated with endocrine disruption, thyroid disorder, which almost everybody I know has some kind of thyroid issue, increased risk of Parkinson's and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, developmental and reproductive toxicity, and damage. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Tons of problems. These results show that eating organic actually works. And in addition to reducing eaters' exposure to toxic pesticides, organic farming systems protect the health of farm workers, farmers, rural communities, our air, our water, our soil, our pollinators, and other critical species. We need food systems where organic is for all. No one should be exposed to toxic pesticides in the food that they eat. No farmers or farm workers should have to sacrifice their health or the health of their children to grow the food we all eat. And the way we grow food should protect rather than harm the ecosystem that sustains all life. And here's a chart of all the different pesticides that are found in the food that they tested for with these families. So, guys, I've said it before probably 100 times. I'll say it again. Vote with your dollar. Eat organic. Protect your body. Stop poisoning yourself. That includes injections from vaccines, medications prescribed and over the counter, and eating conventionally grown food, including processed food. It's loaded with poison. Poison. Buy organic. Cook at home. So I mentioned how that neonicotinoids has destroyed our pollinators, and it's also killing the birds and all life on the planet. And this goes into an article saying popular pesticides are killing the birds too, from Gizmodo. But it's more than that. It's a complete destruction of the world. We've killed off 70% of the species on this planet in the past 50 years. It's disgusting what we've done. So guys, eat organic. And a couple last articles, of course. They're still continuing to push the flu shot, and 2 different messages here. And if you haven't seen that there's a Yale study going on right now on what messaging will work to push the COVID vaccine on people. Is it going to be guilt, embarrassment, bravery, shame, all these different things? So they use it on all vaccines, and the flu shot's no different. So here's one where they're kind of using shame, and then another one where they're saying good news. If you get the flu shot, we're gonna help everybody. So you don't need the flu shot. If you want to, please just do your research first, and if you want to do it, go for it. But we will never get the flu shot. We will never get the coronavirus shot. We will never get any vaccine again in our lives, and you know why. And you really should do your due diligence and research and understand that you don't need these, and your immune system is fully capable of handling all of the infectious diseases as long as you take care of your body. But here we go. This just came out today. Not getting a flu vaccine is like not wearing a mask, you selfish person. And then it goes on what the upcoming flu season could look like if you don't get your shot. And of course it talks about how with going back to school, kids are the ones that are getting exposed and then bringing it home, and everybody's going to get sick. But if you get the flu shot, nobody will get sick, which is a total lie. The efficacy of the flu shot is nowhere near what you're being told. And in fact, they'll tell you that it doesn't work. Most years, it's 10% effective. At best, it's like 40% effective. It rarely works at all. And you're more likely to get sick the following years because you got the flu shot the year before. And when you get the flu shot, you're actually over 4 times more likely to get a different type of respiratory illness other than influenza. So, again, do your research, make your choice. But for us, no way. Anyway, they go on to push some statistics on you and try to scare you into the fact that if you do this, you're going to be helping save the world. And of course, the person that's pushing this is head of the flu initiative program at Kaiser Permanente. I don't even care to read it. You guys can look it up, but it's just, I mean, I did read it. I don't care to read it to you guys. Anyway, not getting the flu vaccine is like not wearing a mask. What a bunch of crap. And then the other side of it is saying, hey, you know, because we're putting so much effort into wearing masks and washing our hands and social distancing and getting the flu shot, this flu season just might not be so bad, you know, because of all the things we've put in place. Well, I don't believe that. I think the flu season might not be so bad because we're just going to write everything off as the coronavirus anyway. So it doesn't even matter. Your statistics and numbers and projections are all BS. And none of these that talk about how to be healthy and prevent adverse outcomes from infection is, wash hands, wear mask, get shot. None of it is eat right, stay active, get outside, be healthy, right? Why don't they talk about that? They never, ever do. And they'll never go that way because they don't ever want you to think that you can do it without them. You have to have a doctor and you have to have medicine. That's how you stay healthy. You can't do it on your own. You know better. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do it on your own. And you can be healthy. You don't need scientific interventions. I mean, just look at the article we just talked about pesticides. Because of these scientific interventions, we have made it possible to poison our food and then eat it and poison ourselves. And you're told that if you think that's dangerous, you're a conspiracy theorist. And yet the data shows that it causes all kinds of systemic damage in your body, from brain damage to gut damage to organ damage. It's not even a secret. Science shows that these pesticides and these genetically modified foods damage your health. But if you believe that, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're an idiot. You should just eat our crap. Come on, guys, you know better than that. I know you do. Well, at least the people that watch my videos do, because they already know this. And that's why they tune in, because they like to hear things that support natural health and the fact that, and they want to share it. That's what we all do. We learn that, hey, we've been lied to our whole lives, and I'm now tapping into what God actually gave me into nature, and I'm feeling better than ever, and I want to help others. I want to help people heal instead of going back to the doctor and getting another prescription that's going to make them feel even worse over time. So again, guys, recognize your divinity and your strength, and the more you invest in yourself, the more you can give to others. It's not selfish to put yourself first, because once you do, once you truly know how to honor thyself, then you can love everyone around you and help lift others up. So do it. All right, guys, love ya.